Ah. Hey, look the other way. Don't see this that I'm about to put in. What book are we reading for this? Hey, thank you so much, Aaron, for subscribing for the 39th month in a row, saying, woo, 39 months, I will be happy when I get to 42. Why is that, Aaron? Why is that?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, the answer to everything is 42. And there's the book. That's
Exactly.
huge. Okay, everyone, we are reading Feral Gods, the Gate of the Feral Gods, which is book 4 of Dungeon Crawler Carl in this community throughout the year. I believe it was August we read the first 2 books, and then December we were reading books 3 and 4. We were able to have an amazing chat with the narrator from Sound Booth Audio, Jeff Hayes, who's fantastic and did some amazing impersonations and impressions for us, which I delighted in. If you do want to check out some of the videos we had for that, well, make sure you're following us on social medias. Thank you so much to Tate the Aussie, Kobe-1 Kenobi for 2 months. Tate the Aussie had 5 months in a row, and Darren has used their Prime for 22 months. I feel like I've got a bit of lag in the video now, so I've got a case of the fuckets, that's for sure. KP Dubs, thank you so much for gifting 3 subs to Gemma Gems, Fabulous Weapon, and False Posistron. Nearly had me there. Guys, we've got an amazing guest. Now, this is an important guest that we've got for this particular
Hello
show.
there.
Hello there. She's the person that got me into this series. It was October last year. I would get a series of text messages saying, Maude, have you read Dungeon Crawler Carl? And I'd be like, look, I haven't yet. What's it about? It's about this guy who goes into the dungeon. And I was like, what kind of dungeon are we talking? No, because it's like, a series of challenges. Earth has been obliterated and they've been made levels where Carl and his talking cat have to go in. And I was like, say less. Like, I'm in. It took me a little bit. Her name is Clare Grant. Clare is one of the founding members of Team Unicorn. She is a fellow participant in an earlier iteration of Maude's book club that was done via Discord, and the Discord is open to everyone if you want to join that one. Clare, you've been with me every step of the way with Dungeon Crawler Carl, so thank you so much for joining the show. I want to know from you, how did you find Dungeon Crawler Carl for the first time?
Well, thanks for having me. I love you. I love talking about books with you.
You do look like you're getting uploaded into the internet as you talk, though.
Yes. I one of my little brother, actually, I guess 2 of my little brothers and I, we love the same books, and so we're constantly sending suggestions to each other. And my brother Sam was like, "Stop what you're doing and read these books." And
Right.
I didn't stop what I was doing, but as soon as I read the first one, I think I plowed through the 4 that were out immediately.
Oh, so now that you're reading them along as they're released, how is that? Because the last time that happened for me was Harry Potter, which is, I don't know if the times or dates add up because I'm in my 20s, so who knows? But what is that like for you, being able to read them as the series is expanding real time?
It's fun. They're very dense books. I feel like they're so action forward, and so much happens in each book that it always takes me a second to be like, right, here's what happened, and now I know what's going on moving forward.
I love hearing. Oh, Claire's mic is 2 times the volume of Maud's. Thank you for telling me so. I will turn that down for you somewhat. Everyone's sharing their stories about how they discovered Dungeon Crawler Carl. I discovered it through Claire. Claire discovered it through her brothers. Lisa says, I've been telling my brothers and nephews that they need to get into the series. A lot of other people are saying that, this is the book club that got them into Dungeon Crawler Carl. And to that I say, you're welcome. Also, you can thank Claire, and that's why she's here. KB Dub says, when Claire and Seth played X-Wing miniatures on Will Wheaton's tabletop, I ended up spending about $2,500 on the game and its expansions. I now forgive her because these books are so good.
Yeah, I also got caught up in buying as many miniature add-ons to that game as possible. That was a hot game.
What was that one?
The Star Wars X-Wing tabletop game is fun.
I played a Star Top. Man, my jet lag has been kicking my ass. I tried to record some videos today and I just had to send them off to Tass, who's editing them, with like the caveat being like, it was supposed to be a 2-minute video and it's 7 minutes. Good luck with that. Struggling talking today, that's for sure. Everyone else is saying, oh, here we go. Claire playing Libertalia on tabletop is still one of the best things that ever happened on Geek and Sundry. I'm learning about you.
Yeah, I love being a pirate. That game was fun.
We need to play more games. Claire also introduced me to Space Catan.
Yeah, it's Starfarers. It's my favorite Catan of all the Catans.
That was a lot of fun.
However you say it.
Catan.
So much fun.
Catan.
I don't know.
Let us. Oh, thank you so much for the hype train, everyone. I didn't even see that happening there. Love this community. You're all amazing. Wow, we completed it to level 2, 64%. Oh my God, 64! Colleen says it's Maude's fault that I'm obsessed with Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yep. Look, again, I do not apologize for that. Over the course of covering Dungeon Crawler Carl for the book club, I've been lucky enough to interview not only Matt Dinniman to talk about the series and how he created this wonder, but also Jeff Hayes. If you're listening to the audiobooks, your ears have thanked you. He is incredible. He's a one-man show that has brought all these characters to life. And it was like, because you listened to them as well, didn't you, Claire?
I did, yeah. And my brother had suggested that I listen to them over reading them. And that was the first time he'd ever, I didn't even know that he was on Audible. You got me onto Audible and I'd never spoken with him about it. So when he was like, don't read the books, listen to the books, I promise. I like to listen and read at the same time. But I would have listened to them anyway, but I definitely took that to heart and then was so blown away by Jeff's talent. It's unreal.
I remember, like, and I think everyone's first impression of listening to them is, oh, they've got a cast for this, because there's no way that the guy is doing Dungeon Crawler Carl, like Carl's deep voice, who sounds a lot like, I got the whole story about it, how he sounds like Patrick Warburton, and that was the inspiration.
Oh, for sure.
But then over the course of the books, found his own voice for Carl, but also doing Donut, and it's such a contrast, and it's so well done. So if you haven't listened to them, I think he's probably the best audiobook narrator I've ever heard in my life, and told him as much.
Hands
also,
down.
Alex or Eagle, thank you so much for subbing for 17 months. Saying, hello, Maude, hello, guest. The guest that we have on is Clare Grant. I really should have that in the lower third somewhere. I'll just keep saying it throughout the course of the stream. Claire is a dear friend of mine who got me into, Alex said, used 100 bits to be like, welcome, Clare Grant. She's the one who got me into Dungeon Crawler Carl. So I kind of, as like a thank you to Claire, who has since passed on this amazing knowledge to all the book club members, I wanted to chat with her because it's like the first time we've really sat down for 2 hours and spoken about Dungeon Crawler Carl. So I kind of want to know from you, even though you look like a potato, it's happening again.
Right.
You can just see these amazing yeah, it's still happening, girl. Look, worst comes to worst, we can get you just in the voice call if the videos, I don't know if you can pull up twitch.tv/Maude Garrett and have a squeeze. Your call if you want to go audio only.
I know what it is. Hold on, let me.
Oh, I know.
I just figured it out.
Bartleby Prime says, sadly, Clare Grant as rendered via a Sega Genesis.
How dare you? It is the original Nintendo for me.
I know, I was Team Nintendo as well. KP Dub saying, we won't take her for granted.
Oh, loving the puns. Thank you.
Hold on. Can we get a... Oh, that'll do. I was an air horn, if you ask me. That was an air horn.
Did I get better?
You want the answer? No.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
I know. We tried. You restarted and everything. We ran out of options. I've got to get close to my microphone. Let me just check. Yeah. It's Commodore 64 graphics now, says Academic. I know. This is the same. Is it Spectrum? Oh, we have a saying around here at book
It
club.
is Spectrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, chat. Do you want to tell Claire what our saying is here at Maude's book club?
Fuck Spectrum.
Fuck Spectrum.
So what am I supposed to do in Los Angeles, California?
We just, I think I'm going to get T-shirts made up.
Deal with it.
Just fuck Spectrum. Fuck Spectrum.
I'm sorry to interject. Okay, but have you heard the joke how to solve the drug problem in the United States? Is you legalize all drugs and then you make it so you have to buy them through Charter Spectrum.
Ooh, that'll do it. The community is saying yes to F Spectrum merch. Have you ever hated a company so bad that you created merch just to spite them? God, that's something that we would do around here. I'm going to go for full window at the moment because we get a little bit of a Zell happening there as well. I don't know if you want to fudge it around. Kate's here saying good old Monopoly. Look, mine's not smooth either.
Yeah.
Spectrum. But I can hardwire mine. Do I? No. To the displeasure of everyone in the chat. But even though we're kind of figuring out that side of things, I want favorite character. I want to go through top 5s questions about Dungeon Crawler Carl with you. Who's your favorite character?
For me?
Yeah.
Well, I love Donut. I love Princess Donut. And I love Samantha. I love her.
I will kill your mother
so much.
She's great.
Yeah, I think she's fantastic.
And we are introduced to Samantha in this book. Mm-hmm.
We are. And she's pretty fun. And yeah, I mean, I love all of our top guys. I love Katia grew on me. I wasn't as into her right away, but she really grows on me and like grows on me enough to where when she are we going can we talk about because she leaves them at the end of this one, right?
She does, and that's a big point of this particular game, this book. Yes, she's outgrown the team.
Yeah, and that hurt me. I didn't like that, but
actually that is a big talking point that I want to bring up. So I want to introduce the community. Big shout out to the members plus who are also in the call and are able to chat about it. A big thing that I want to talk about, the fact that at the end of this particular book, Katia wants to merge away from the group for the first time, and basically she's got to fulfill her own destiny. She has been incredibly burnt by Heckler and especially Eve, the half cobra, half ogre bitch who didn't like her in real life and despises her even more now for being weak and submissive and not being an asset to the team at all. She basically abandoned Katia in level 3 on purpose. Everyone's talking about Spectrum and like how you can help with the business package. No, fuck Spectrum. Quietly.
I have the business package. I literally have the 1 gig package.
I've got the 1 gig as well, and I tell you right now, I have never in my life had a download speed more than 500,000. Definitely not to 600 ever.
No,
and I've been paying for a gig. But Kate, are you in the call? Kate's weighing in on the chat saying she's also not wrong about it being the Donut and Carl show. If Katia wants to do her own thing, it's going to be constantly derailed by the AI and the showrunners, making it all about Carl and Donut. She needs to do her own thing instead of just letting her life happen around her. I will say about Katia, she was really boring and one-dimensional when she first entered the group. She was second-guessing herself. She was kind of getting beaten and broken down by the crawl with the dungeon, second-guessing herself. And I think the last 2 books that we've had with Katia, she's really developed as a crawler. She's kind of doubled down and learnt about how to be a doppelganger. And Carl, with his sort of like problem-solving brain, has really shown her the flexibility and asset of the class that she's chosen. And I think now she has to figure out, like, she's going into engineering, she's going into sort of like mass and volume. How do I create my body, expand my body to become a vessel, to become a submersible, to become like all these different things, to be able to stack on mass so that I'm indestructible. And like the way that she's improving her doppelganger. Do we need like a new count every time I can't say something because my brain's scrambled from jet lag? Because I think we're on like 7 now. A doppelganger says KPW. Yeah, you don't know about the doppelgangers? They're so good. There is a lot of science. And she was becoming an express, sort of taking an express path to become the perfect spy, is what I was trying to say. So she could be a spy, which is huge in this particular world. Lisa's saying she needed that time away from Carl and Donut to gain the confidence to know that she could do this on her own. She's grown so much. Kate says she was a bystander in her own life, to be honest. The way she was just like, oh, yeah, my partner left me and I didn't get the adoption approved, but oh, well, that's life. Eva wasn't wrong about that. She went about it wholly wrong, of course, because she's an asshole, but technically she wasn't wrong. So the 2 books, the 2 levels that we've had with Katia has only grossly improved Katia's contributions to the crawl. She's first started, though, as a part of Heckler's group. And that disbanded when she accidentally killed Heckler. And now Eva is trying to recruit the rest of the women. And we all know that's obviously going to be for nefarious purposes. She's already killed the fairy, the one that was made into a healer that had the 2 daughters. Oh, you look amazing right now. I'm going to get you back on here. Boom. The 2 healers that were supposed to be healing Heckler and was a part of the plan to kill Katia and then get Carl to go rage and kill everyone else. It shows that Eva just has no respect for other crawlers here. So Katia has made it her goal to go and sort of become a leader in her own right now that she's been a part of the group. With Carl and Donut's numbers, though, she has exponentially grown in her popularity. The question I have for you, Claire, and the rest of the members, I want to talk through what were the negatives and the positives of having Katia in the group all this time.
Well, I think the negatives would be just that she starts out so inexperienced that she's sort of like a weight that they have to deal with.
Literally and
And
figuratively, yes.
yeah, and because it's like she enters the dungeon with no real life experience, which Carl had just from
Being in the Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard, that's what it was,
Yep.
the Coast Guard. And then also just because he loves video games, you know, having to teach someone, and he just fully commits to her like that, which is, actually something that's so wonderful about Carl, is that he always does the right thing, no matter if it's the hard thing, which I appreciate about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the positive about her is that, her powers are so cool. The changeling aspect and how serious she takes it, and how creative she is with it. That's all, like, she ends up being a valuable asset. And when she leaves us, she left me. It made me like, how are we going to get by without her?
I agree.
She
In
becomes
fact,
valuable.
a lot of the chat is actually saying, I'm just going to copy something really quickly and put it in here so your name pops up every single time you talk. That's going to be fun. Wrong one. A lot of the people are saying, now that we know Katia so well and now that she's evolved so much, she's one of the point of views in this game that people would actually like to know what's going on in her head.
Mhm.
And I think that if you were subscribing to the crawl and Katia came to the group, like, she needed a PR intervention. She wasn't shocking. She didn't have a catchphrase. She wasn't really an asset to the team, but now she's like glorified champion. Like, she's completely excelled. She has the popularity. She's got the look. She's got, like, I would love to see how she tackles so many facets of the dungeon. Because she's got unlimited options available to her now, being a doppelganger, I personally think. So I guess the question that I have is, want in a future Dungeon Crawler Carl book to have different points of view, even though it's written. Wait, it's written in the first person. So would you like to read chapters from another point of view?
Yeah, I'd be down with her. I'd love a donut POV. Um, and maybe yeah, maybe just them. They're my in my like and when I think about it, it feels like it's like I know it's the Carl and Donut show, but it also feels like it's the Carl and Donut and Katia show. So those are probably the only three that I would want, but I would take points of view from anybody.
With the
The
top
fish
10,
lady.
the top 10 is becoming more and more of a thing. We start the books knowing what the top 10 is, what the order is, what level everyone is at, their class and race, and then at the end you see how much that's changed, whether there's a new participant in the top 10. Who have you gravitated towards? Because we don't really know as much about them. We are getting little sort of parts of this other top 10 either in the recaps or a tiny cameo where they're in the same league with each other, or it's Kate says, I want a point of view from Quan Chi's arm. And I will all call him Quan
That's
Chi and picture
brutal.
him
Yeah.
as a character from Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
I've been ripped off. That's actually quite funny. Something tells me that there would be multiple POVs of Lucia if we ever get into Lucia Mom's head.
I would love to get into her head. She's very interesting character to me. She's very capable and brutal. But I don't think she's a bad guy. I think she's more like Carl than he realizes, like she does whatever she has to do, however hard it is. She doesn't look out for everybody the way that he does, but there's probably a reason why.
I feel like this is that argument again, and sorry to be a millennial and say it's like the Slytherin versus Gryffindor approach, where it's like Carl wants to, every bit of information that he gets, he passes it on to the community. He's trying to make sure that everyone gets to the next level as much as possible, whereas Lucia Mara is much more self-serving. Does it benefit her? Is she going to level up? She's never really been in a group with anyone else. Anyone that she feels threatened by, she eliminates. So it's like very different ways of playing the game. Claire, if you happened to have been outside when the collapse happened and you were in the dungeon, how would you fare? What kind of class and race would you decide to be?
Ooh, class and race.
At the moment, your
Well,
race is a pixel, just one.
I'm back to Pixel. Damn it. Well,
No, you're good. You're good.
I would, well, like, there's what I what I think that I would want to be, which is, like I'd probably want to be someone who could like cast spells, and do like
Ooh.
attacks from a distant point of view. But I also know me as a person, and so I'd probably just benefit from being like a boring all fighter, or maybe the uh someone with that can like Hulk out, I guess, and just get like right in there.
I've thought
you
way too
know
much about this. I mean, what irks me knowing with Carl is that his melee. You're exactly right. You want to have distance. You don't want to have to be in close combat, I don't think, when you don't get to restart. You don't get to respawn. When you're dead, it is done and you actually die. So I always
Yeah.
thought that Ellie McGibb's approach was always good. She can fly and she does a lot of sort of distance attacks with her ice. And she's in the top 10 for a reason. People are saying what they would do as well. Bartleby Prime says, Clare Grant, unicorn pixelated alchemist. I like that. I like that a lot.
I'll take that. Yeah.
KP Dubs keeps reading El McRib. Oh, who is that? Did I hear someone? Was someone else weighing in on what they were going to be in the dungeon? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, just a question. Just mentioning, That's a good point about the whole melee versus range thing. In a lot of games, at least, being melee is a disadvantage, but they compensate in some way, either more damage or something to help you, uh, you
Baden,
know,
do you have a
make it worth it.
cold?
Yeah, I have a cold. I'm sick.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Voice
Your
really bad.
constitution just took a hit, huh?
Yeah, but
Thank
yeah,
you for being here anyway.
but yeah, like I think I'm most surprised in this game in the dungeon. There's no specific. I haven't seen any mechanics that they give the dungeon or the crawl that give Carl an advantage for being melee at all. So you're right. It seems like there's really no point in being melee. Like you gain nothing from it. You just get destroyed. You get hit by exploding things. It's not great. So like having a range advantage would be awesome. Like personally, I would love to be like a Katia, like a tank, who can doppelgang. Basically, she has insane flexibility, like
Yeah.
utility. She can do so much, and I love that being able to have
Except
a lot
it
of options.
physically hurt her until she leveled up enough and got the
Yeah,
experience. It would physically hurt her changing. It comes with a
yeah,
cost.
it's worth it. No pain, no gain.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Claire and I both just went, whoa. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Would I love to live my best life being like an elf? Yeah, you know for sure. I'm gonna well, Maud's dead. Maud's gone. She's a little soft hot pocket, which we don't care about. Maud the elf, though, live my best life. I thought about it with the crossbow as well, because it is real life and you're playing it. You don't have an auto aim until I guess you level up enough. So like having to learn all those skill sets and being bad at it before you can get good. Like Carl again chose to be a trap master, explosions specialist. Like you can't really train with that because if you fuck up, you die.
Yeah, but he's but it works for him. I think because his true personal power and skill is his ability to see big picture and make plans and know all of the steps to take to achieve his goals. I think that the bombs and the setting traps it lends well to that and also helps to keep him out of harm's way for as long as possible.
KP says,
I wouldn't pick
Carl,
it.
no way, never. Carl is very good at planning multiple steps ahead. I believe that is a pun because he has no shoes on. He's like essentially naked from the waist down. Like that makes me so nervous.
I always forget that too. Yeah, I know.
Basically,
They
Bruce
should at
Willis in
least
Die Hard.
His what?
He's basically Bruce Willis in Die Hard.
Yeah,
without pants. Yeah.
without pants and shoes. We were going, we don't need shoes.
Bru-
So that would make me
Bruce
nervous
Willis
for
didn't
sure.
have shoes.
He didn't have
Bruce
shoes in
Willis
the
didn't have-
hell.
Yeah, he stepped on
Ah.
glass and things like that. There was that whole scene about shooting the glass, and he had to like crawl away.
You know what it is? I think it's because I don't have a foot fetish. I didn't notice. It didn't stick with me like it would some other people, I suppose.
You
AI.
don't watch it every year, Maude?
I haven't this year. I didn't even watch Home Alone or Love Actually, which is what I always watch every Christmas. I played a board game with my family instead. Claire, we got to get this board game. It's so freaking good. It's very difficult, but it is so rewarding. So we'll put it on the list, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I played one too, and it's the most fun ever. I laughed
Which
for
one?
hours. We'll have to
Which
do
one?
that too.
What one? Tell me all
It's
about it.
called Head Trip. You need a few
Okay.
people to play it. It's definitely a group thing. It's from the same people that made Cards Against Humanity, and it's a banger.
What's different from this game? Because Cards Against Humanity is like how much can you get your intrusive thoughts to win? Permission for your invasive thoughts to get out there. What's this one about?
It's sort of the same. It's similar. Like one person has to think like a person that from a card that they've drawn. So like Batman, if he were on meth, was a sad meth addicted Batman. Was a sad old meth addicted Batman. Was the card that I drew. I had to think like him, and then there's 7 other cards, and you knock them out in order, and so you flip one, and it's like what would if sad method acted Batman were to come across this scenario? You have these four options to choose from of what you think sad method acted Batman would think, and they're all ridiculous. They're all very Cards Against Humanity, so they're stupid and laughing, and the randomness of this person card that you draw versus the event card that you draw it's funny.
Okay,
So,
I'll play.
but you also
I'm
get to
game.
do dumb things like have your parents talk about stuff you don't want your parents to talk about.
True Scorn in the comments says, Bat myth, drugger, bat myth. I like that. Toasty Poster says it sounds like it's a Hughes line game. Where's the meth? Where's Rachel? Where am I? Says Aaron. Very, very funny. A conversation's just come up that I would love to put a little bit of attention on, and that is how Matt Dinniman writes sort of like the bad characters. The difference between Lucia Ma and Quan CH. Now, Lucia Ma has kind of been in the top 10 from the get-go. She was, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, we've got to get this down. She was a Brazilian homeless child. She's like 13 years old. She was on the living on the streets, and she went down into the chat. You better help me out with this because Claire's looking confused. Am I not right?
Why did I think she was like a Brazilian model or something like that? Like, I just might have made that up in my head entirely. I don't know. It's been a minute since I remember being introduced to her. She's always just been her.
Oh, it's
So,
because she's
when
got
I
two
looked her up,
forms.
yeah. So when I looked her up earlier, she's 13-year-old. I can't remember if she's homeless or not, but she has the the two dogs. But
Yeah.
she has like she's wearing a soccer uniform, so I'm not super sure what family she's from. But
She was wearing a
yeah,
soccer
she's got the
uniform.
Brazilian 13-year-old,
So
and yeah,
there's a tenacity that she has that very few other crawlers do have. Now, the fact that she's a minor, she's 13 years old. She did enter she was one of, I think, 3 main people that entered with pets. And just like Donut, you got a pet potion and a randomized thing could have happened. Now, with the case of Miriam Dom, who's one of my favorite characters, she's an Italian shepherd who was out with her something like 13 sheep. She had, or 36 sheep. She had a flock of sheep that went down, or goats, sorry, that went down into the dungeon. And every single one of these goats were able to have like a transformation. And the main 2 that survived had a very similar effect to what Donut had, where Prepotente became his own character. He became a crawler. So he developed his own personality, was able to sort of talk. I think he's erect on 2 legs. And he's this very, very funny goat. The other one remained a familiar, but ended up becoming this like hellspawn giant goat that can level up a lot like what, oh my gosh, what's the dinosaur's name again?
Mongo.
Spacing.
Mongo.
Mongo. So they're her 2 main familiars. What's happened with Lucia Ma is that neither of her dogs became a legitimate crawler in their own right. But they both have abilities. One's a lot bigger than the other one as well. And they're getting sort of like, their own abilities that they can contribute into the crawl. And she's leveling them up as much as possible as well. Now, going back to the different ways that they're a villain. When we are first introduced to Lucia Ma, we are met by the fact that she's got 2 Rottweilers. She has an understanding of sort of like leveling up in the gaming world and how that's the most important thing. So she is XP hunting. She's an achievement hunter. She's a lone wolf. She does not want to team up with other people. And she plays kind of dirty. She is making sure that she's as strong as possible at whatever cost, usually. Now, Quan CH is introduced a little bit later. I believe it was in the End of Doomsday scenario where he's sort of trash talking in the chat. He calls Carl an asshole. He's like, Donut's like, I can't believe it, because she cannot take anyone who says anything negative about her or Carl. And he ends up by a glitch in the system being the only crawler that actually gets the Celestial Box. That was originally supposed to be gifted to every single crawler, but it got vetoed. And I think the Borant Corporation was allowed 1 veto, I think almost ever, and they had to spend it on the 2nd level because it was going to cost them a goddamn fortune. It was going to cost them more money than I believe that they had to gift everyone a Celestial Box. And so they were like, no, that's not it. But Quan CH had gotten the box and entered a safe room, meaning he could not be altered, and he opened the box when everyone else's was gone. When you get a celestial box at level 2, you are likely to get items and abilities that can take you to the 9th floor without a scratch. And he got this cloak that could make him fly, that rendered him almost invincible. And I believe he's got like powers, 2 different powers from both of his hands where he can conduct magic. We saw one activate at the end of this particular book where he was able to pause something. I think Carl threw a bomb or threw an item or threw something at him, and he was able to stop it, its trajectory. And he was like, whoa, that was new. I haven't seen that before. Who knows what they actually are. But this cloak is going to be like the be all end all. It can make him fly. It renders him essentially invulnerable. Now that he's equipped with an item that has leveled him up so severely, he's become more of a dickhead. Yeah, Kate says the cloak rendered him a dickhead. And it's like, yeah, he always was a dickhead. Now he's just like a horrendous asshole because he's got this invulnerability. So Claire, I kind of want to attack the psyche here. Who do you hate more, and who do you think the overall antagonist of the series is up until this book, end of book 4?
Well, I think the character, the crawler that I dislike the most is Quan CH. He's
Yeah.
just a dick.
Yeah.
He's just a dick. He doesn't get any less dickish. There never seems to be like a redeeming side of him, you know, which I feel like Lucia Marr has something in her that is going to be good. Yeah, I mean, the overall villains are the Borant fish people.
You're exactly right. The
They're the Borant fish people.
Cuatines. Cuatines?
Yeah.
So they are the ones
Yeah.
that have the rights to run the dungeon this particular season. And we've seen Carl activate step 1 of his plan of rebellion. Now, I'm kind of jumping all over the place with talking points. Apologies for that. But when they surface, I'm just going to go for it. In the middle of the book, Carl and Donut are on a talk show. Now, Donut has been gifted the privilege of being merchandise. There is a robot donut. And over the course of the week, we're supposed to interact and play with this robot. And Carl noticed that there were some defects, technical defects with this. And Carl, with the help of the crawlers in the Anarchists Cookbook, develop a plan to take out their new PR manager, who is Loiter, who's an asshole also, is very by the book and will have no wiggle room with Carl and Donut. And he's managed it so that Robot Donut stayed with Loiter and activated sort of the kill switch that blew up the device, thus killing Loiter. Now, they were put on a hold for 5 days, and I want to talk about the implication of that 5 days in a crawl, especially when time is such a luxury. Thierry wants everyone to know that Loiter is also extremely racist. Yes, absolutely. Loiter was the worst, says KP Dubs. There you go. Carl gets away with it. There is a huge conversation between one of the games masters running the entire campaign saying there's just too many coincidences for this to have happened the way that it did. But they could not pin it to Carl because it did look like an accident. The question that I have for you, Claire, and the rest of the members, what domino effect do you feel killing Loiter, who was their particular PR manager, will have in the overall big picture? Do you think killing Loiter has an impact, and what is it and why?
I think killing Loiter will signal to the other people, former crawlers or just other people out in the universe watching this show who also feel oppressed by these people. It will sort of give them that spark of oh, maybe something can be done about this. Maybe they're not completely and totally invulnerable. So I think it's just like that hope, the danger of hope. And and then of course it brings back what's Ziv? Is Ziv their fishies? They're the good one that's
Zev. So Zev
Zev.
and Donut get along really well. They're going to write a new TV show together inspired by Gossip Girl. Zev has teetered the line once by helping Carl in book 1, and that was when the old man Jack decides to urinate in the wall, thus causing, a catastrophic
Right,
effect, summoning
right.
the demigod, I believe. And she said, run. And she got sort of like probationed for helping out with that. Occult still says, hi, Zev. I hear that every single time I hear Zev. Kay Frito says she got a re-education. So she was basically put in a program since she got fired and replaced by Loiter, reprogrammed. Now, it sounds like something happened in their world where her relatives were killed. And then she was reprogrammed or re-educated to try and go in the way of the Quadrants, to focus on the game in a way that's very Loiter-friendly, which is being stern and exploitative, I guess. But yeah, Sev now has been re-promoted. She was originally their social media manager, but because they decided to get the social media upgrade, she was made redundant, but now she's back. Hold on. Aaron's saying Zev doesn't feel nearly as re-educated, given at the end when Zev reprimands Carl at the end when he uses the gate on the 9th floor markets. Yeah, they killed her. They killed and or tortured her family until Zev gave in. So we are starting to get an idea of who the Quadrants are outside of the crawl. Yes, we've got thoughts.
Well, just wanted to expand on that with the what I just said there. Because Carl points out, it's like she's reprimanding me, yes, for using that gate to like flood the markets and destroy all this stuff, but she's like, give me a lot of details and information that it's like that's very valuable to me. It's like she's clearly showing signs like she's not nearly as quote unquote re-educated as she gave the impression of before when she's like, on the same call with Loida.
Kay Frito saying she got smarter hiding her point of view. Bartleby Prime also commented saying, you'd think it would be really easy to re-educate the Quadrants. I'd imagine that their long-term memory is like that of a, I forget. Very clever. So the fact that Loiter was being more and more horrible, and Donut, who is an extrovert and can't keep thoughts in her head and anything she says out loud will be used against her, is basically saying, I don't like Loiter. I don't like her at all. And Carl's like, shh, I got it. Like, trust me, we've got this. To answer the question, what does Carl and Donut gain by killing Loiter? People are weighing in. Oh, you got thoughts? Yeah, Vaden.
Oh, sure. So basically, I kind of add on to Claire's point. It's inspirational for Carl and the other humans to kill the Quadrants and fight back. Like when they talked to the guy Oren, he told them basically that 15 admins have died, and that's like an incredible record. Like normally it's like 2 or something, and they've gone 15 already in the crawl. So
and it's
they're
level
clearly
5.
fighting back with a lot. Yeah, and like it's encouraging each other. Essentially, they're making sure that they are all working together against this. They have this kind of like collective agenda against them to fight it back against the system that's destroy their planet and many other planets. So I think it's definitely a huge bonus.
I think that was startling information to learn as well, that 15 people, 2 of them were Lucia Mar alone, killing 2 admins. But there's something telling. I think it was when Oren was questioning Carl, and he's like, why do you think that there's been 15? And he said 2 things. 1, humans don't like listening or taking, commands from fish. And 2, he says, I think that this show has been run really poorly. I think that it's cheaply ran. And I think that like by having all these spending cuts is hurting the program. And I thought that was really interesting because we hadn't really heard from Carl that there was an issue with fish running this particular season. And so he kind of brought race into it in a way. But also the fact that they weren't spending big bucks, and that cheapness of the company is affecting how the game is being played, and the fact that they want to kill the Kuatin. Or is
Yeah,
it kind of just
it's just
saying that like are Kuatin more disadvantaged because they have to have water, they are smaller as a species, and that they, if humans want to fight back, they'll win?
Yeah, I think it also like affects a lot of things. Like you said, it affects the security systems, and like the Borant Corporation itself seems to be like on the verge of bankruptcy, right? So like
Yeah.
they've talked about that several times. So they're being as cheap as possible, trying to earn as much money as possible, and so all these shortcuts they've taken have probably, like I said, also led to a lot of their inmates dying and them not even caring because they're like, okay, well, would I have to fire them anyway, so whatever.
I think it's interesting that you brought up the money part of it, because if the Kuatin are on the verge of bankruptcy and they've got the rest of the dungeon to continue rolling out, Kate brought up a great point saying Carl and Donut were always on the radar because they're so popular, but now Borant is really going to try to ruin them. Carl and Donut make a lot of money, but that doesn't mean that Borant isn't going to torture them, because the viewers will pay more money for this torture. That's messed up. And a way that we've seen it happen already is at the end of this book, when the AI starts to adjust the quest because they don't like how it's being handled. So Emberus, the fire god, has been unleashed, and the quest is to reunite Emberus with his dead son's dog. And it's a giant dog that is level 10 and is super vulnerable to damage. And it's up to the crawlers to keep this dog alive. They then incentivized other crawlers of a reward should they kill the dog. So Carl is trying to do the right thing to keep the dog alive at any cost. And then assholes like Quan CH are just looking to self-serve and reap the rewards. With the AI adjusting and changing this quest as it sees fit, as the events unfold, it's a reminder that Carl is fighting a losing game. So do you think that the more, I guess, exploitative and unfair this becomes, the viewers will turn on Borant and the AI? Claire, thoughts?
I do. I think that Donut is very beloved, probably the most beloved character in all of the seasons this show has ever done. And I think that they might, like the show creators, they might experience a backlash that they've never experienced before either. And I don't know. I also think we're the AI is going to throw us a wrench at some point. Maybe throw everybody a wrench, or maybe save the day. I'm not even sure. The AI seems crazy.
Yeah.
And also
yeah.
very obsessed with Carl.
But then also had a bit of a temper tantrum when Carl wasn't sort of like seeing to the AI's needs. He didn't squish the gerbil under his foot again. So literally the AI was having a tantrum by sending an unfair amount of gerbils to be squished. And it's Carl's dilemma. His integrity is being compromised because he has to entertain the AI's disturbing fetishes and appease his needs so that he's treated more fairly. And that in a way is like a really disgusting feeling for Carl. And I totally understand that. Like, I understand and get what that's like completely. Like, it's not your job to.
I think
Yeah, I think everyone can relate to that,
Yeah.
right?
everyone. Yeah.
But if the AI has the ability to destroy you, and Donut's like, smiles for everyone. We must perform. We must be on our best behavior. And of course, she says she hates water. So cut to her being thrust underwater for a very long time. This is the thing. How far are you willing to play the game? And it turns out that Carl, Katia, and Donut have developed a secret communication system so that they're able to talk and communicate and to figure out plots, ploys, and strategies without the AI or audience members or the Borant Corporation finding out. So they are finding every single loophole. And I remember one of our first discussions about the crawl. It's like, what kind of crawler would you be? And Vaden and I realized we would try to exploit every single loophole that there was turns out that they are doing exactly that. Two people in the chat are having really interesting conversations, Aaron and Kate. Kate, I want to turn it to you because you're saying that basically Carl's being backed into a corner and it's creating the perfect storm. And you go on to say that, what humans are like and how this is potentially going to end because of what we're like as people. But I kind of want to turn it to you to go through some of the comments that you've made and weigh in on
to
it
go
all.
back and see what I wrote here.
The
Wrote a lot of
first,
stuff.
I know, it's really good. I want to unpack it. Claire, meet Kate. Kate, this is Claire.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
So hello. With Carl, his message isn't, I said it isn't only reaching his fellow crawlers and the viewers, but like Zev, she got sent to quote unquote re-education after trying to help them. But we can kind of see she's subtly showing that she's still like on their side, right? She obviously can't like do it out in the open because like they have this hive mind cult like aspect. So like the re-education thing is very like cult like. So
Yeah.
if you misbehave from the rules and having I don't think it's purely about them being fish. With a cult like hive mind race, that is not how humans are at all. We are a collective, like we are a social animal, but we are impulsive, we're violent, we're selfish. So we tend to want to do like our own things because we want to think about ourselves, right? And so we would bristle under anyone doing like this kind of thing. It doesn't matter who it is. It would be anybody. And so yeah, Zev has to be covert. But I think his message from, the cookbook is getting to her, but it's where you'll also see it getting to people outside of the syndicate because there's these sponsors who are like the Pacifist Society and like all these people who are like sponsoring that are obviously against the syndicate, not necessarily against the crawl, but against this group. So his message is obviously reaching out to them, but I think there's probably quite a few people who it's like, uh-oh, is my world going to be the next crawl? Like what happens if they decide to have it at my planet? So I think that there's probably this thing that it's like, hell yeah, I don't want to be like part of the next crawl. So obviously there's lots and lots of people who are very entertained by what's happening and will pay more to see Carl and Donut get in worse and worse and worse and worse situations because that's just the way reality TV is, right? We don't like it when everything's
further than that. It's going further than that where there is an enticement to participate in the crawl.
Well, yeah, because because it gives a parasocial aspect to it too, because they're paying to be able to like read the chats and vote on what they get in like loot boxes and stuff. So you can like troll people and, like all these kind of things. So it creates a sense of ownership from the viewer that it's like, oh, well, I'm paying, so I should be able to, say and do whatever I want and, have my finger in the game. But at the same time, that kind of creates more resistance from the crawlers within. And now all the crawlers are starting to see, because Carl is one of the most popular ones, so they'd be seeing what he was doing and they would know that the evil edits are evil edits because him and Lucy Amar are probably the top two who are getting evil. They're like the villains of the season, if you want to like do reality TV tropes. But they, like all the crawlers who know the truth of what it's like inside this place are, being like, yeah, I don't have to just fight to win. And then of course you have like the people who are always going to be the selfish people like Quan Chi and like those type of people who are never gonna cooperate no matter what because they never do. So I think it's all creating them backing Carl further into the corner. I think is just when it all explodes is just creating a bigger explosion.
And in fact, at the end of this book, you get I don't know if it's just audio only, but you get a taste of what's to come.
No, it's in the book because I don't do audiobooks, so I am reading it. But the whole thing with the epilogue, that's like we're seeing Earth, and it's like the people who decided not to go in the dungeon and what's happening to Earth, and then like all these people, it's like, but the dungeon is affecting because now we did get B alive and being like obviously as useless as she was in life beforehand, but we're seeing that it's like the game is affecting it because now she's important to Carl's storyline, just like Lucia's relative is important to her storyline. So they're going to get brought in because it's like all about the money, and the more desperate Borant gets, the bigger, they're going to create all these crazy plots because it's like, oh my god, they're
Well, the
going
more we
to
find out about these
jump a shark on
crawlers,
water skis.
yeah. So this is information that Maggie My has found out. She was on the course of revenge up until now. She has found out that, and the cookbook has also reinformed this, and that is, the more you talk about your former life, the more valuable those people in your life are. Now, if they didn't survive what's it called again? The collapse. If they didn't survive the collapse, then they are now that company's property. So if you're dead, you become like sort of resurrected in game. And so they can go through and see who they have access to and then turn them into monsters or villains or obstruct the path that someone needs to go in. And one of the examples that they had of this was, and they said it was some of the best, most gripping television that anyone's ever seen, a man decided to take his own life rather than face his children. And apparently they put a stop to this because these children were minors. They were under 18, and turned the children into assassins, basically, to kill that crawler. So he either had to kill his children in game to go down to the next level, and he refused to do that. Maggie My's lust for revenge was superseded only by that information where they could put her final daughter, who didn't survive the collapse, into the game for her to kill there. And she just said it wasn't worth it. Claire, I kind of want to talk to you about Maggie My. She had a huge arc in this particular book because we had no idea what class or race she chose. Last book we heard from Frank Q, who was at the bar just trying to drink himself into oblivion before recognizing he wasn't going to proceed into the crawl, and gave Carl the ring that would kind of be his own torment and demise. Through that, we learned all about Maggie My, that she'd separated herself from Frank Q, thinking that he was weak and she was going to go on her own to seek revenge. Now, in this book, we find out that she is a parasite. And this is one of the races that Carl has already met outside of the crawl, is a parasitic race that lives inside a host. And that's what Maggie My's done, and infiltrated Chris, who chose to be the rock creature. And all book, he was acting out, behaving very strangely. And then it's right at the end, because they're in the same quadrant, if I'm not mistaken. And it was right at the end where he is having this monologue talking about this information. You know, my daughter was killed in the collapse, and I think that she's going to be put into this game and, turn against me. And I can't do that anymore. So there was this vulnerable moment that Maggie My has, understanding that revenge is not even like a part of this at all, and that it's not worth continuing. It's not worth being subjected to that. I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on Maggie My, this book?
Well, I thought that it's like an example of making this character who didn't seem like she was like the very nice character, and she was doing like horrible things. We got sympathy for her in the end, and it was nice getting to see like what her motives were. And it made, I don't know, I felt bad for her.
Yeah.
It made me definitely get soft on her in the end, instead of just seeing her as just like a regular old body controlling villain.
Well, and we're learning more and more what the dungeon is willing to do to the participants, how low that they're willing to go for the sake of views. Kate, you made the argument earlier that the more focus on Carl and Donut, the more likely they are to be tortured for the sake of entertainment instead of helped and relished. You said that you were riveted with this whole arc of her being inside Chris. I want to know why. Talk to me more about that.
It was just really well written. Like, you could feel we're just kind of thinking this as like a lit RPG genre, but it was just a really good tense scene when they first face off. and you're like, oh, why is Chris so different? And then as the conversation goes on, you're like, you can just in the writing sense the ramp up of like danger. That's like something's wrong, and then you're like, uh-oh. When it's like it even peaks even higher once you realize it's Maggie, right? It was just well written, and it did give more. It fleshed out her desire for revenge more, and like I just posted, it's like you can understand where she's like none of us would in that situation. It's like in that kind of terrible trauma, you don't know how you'd react.
Yeah. Hey, did any of the members plus? Did you see that coming? That twist?
Nope.
Nope.
But the way Jeff Hayes performed it though, as Chris / Maggie, is like so good. I was like, that was like one of the few times where I was like really worried about Carl. Like, oh, this is like the biggest unknown in an entire little dungeon world of unknowns. That confrontation when that first happened.
And I think with this fantastical landscape, with this AI, anything is possible. Absolutely anything is possible. And there's, like, even with Katia being a doppelganger, with the race and class you can choose. Yeah, Colleen said nope. K. Fredo said didn't, and it was so good. Academic says I didn't at all, and I was super pleasantly surprised. Thierry, you've got a question that you would like to ask everyone, to those that haven't read ahead. So Claire, you and I are exempt. Thierry, are you in the call? Do you want to? Yes, you are. Welcome back. It's been a hot minute. It's lovely to have you back, especially for this series.
Hi.
This is like Thierry's replacement series. I got him into the Dresden Files, and we lost him for like 4 years with the Dresden Files. But now this is like your new hot fix, right,
Yeah.
Thierry? Yeah. Do you want to ask everyone your question? The second read already.
So,
Good.
if you were Carl, would you use the enchanted night worm ring of divine suffering to remember everyone? It gives plus 5% to all your stats, and the mark of dead ability, which basically you mark someone, and if you kill them, you get +2 to the highest skill that person has. Stats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my question. Would you use it?
Now, remember that Frank was given it because he killed his brother-in-law in the opening start of the maze. He gave it to his daughter to level her up, where they would mark another crawler, and knowing that they were going to kill him. Now, they marked Carl, and Carl got away, and Carl set a trap in the loot of a fallen, downed monster, and it went off. It exploded when they checked the loot, and she couldn't heal. So that is one of the things. Once you mark someone for kill, you cannot heal. And so she was suffering completely and could not heal from the explosion. And so her mother, Maggie My, chose to end her suffering. And that's messed up. But Carl is realizing that the higher your stats, the more, like, that's the most important thing, to get as strong as possible. And a +5 to your stats, knowing that his strength is already like nearly 100 with the boosts, that would be massive. They're going into the next level where there are going to be actual players from the real world going in to hunt and pursue crawlers. Would you use the Ring of Divine Suffering as a means to accelerate your stats if played well, knowing that if anything backfired, the fate of Maggie My and Frank Q's daughter could be the same? So anyone that hasn't read ahead, what would you do? Has everyone read ahead?
I haven't read ahead. I would drop that ring into a pit.
I haven't read ahead either. I
What
wouldn't
would you
use the
do?
ring, but if I were to use the ring, I would probably go for the lowest crawlers, like the lowest stat crawlers. So this way you could stack, but I wouldn't do it. It's just unnecessary, I feel.
KP Dubs, you had a response? KP Dubs, are you there? Hello.
Did I? I made a joke in chat.
You said
Yes,
it's
I did.
extremely dangerous and double-edged.
Oh, that part, yeah.
Yep.
I don't think I would use it against a crawler, but yeah, that's that bump. It's hard to pass up. Mordecai's advice is yes, but you're going to be a target. Everyone's coming after you. Of course, at the very end of the book, Carl basically says, "Come at me, bring it. I'm waiting for you." So maybe that's his plan all along. I don't know.
Claire, what was
I don't know if
your?
I would.
Oh, Kate, this is huge from you. You wouldn't use it?
No, I don't know. I might.
That's the Kate I know.
Because, like, I mean, I don't know how I would react to this. I wouldn't have even gone in the dungeon in the first place. I was like, I don't want to, waste all that energy fighting for someone else. But if you used it and became a target, if you were smart about it, that just creates more people for you to mark if they're coming after you. So you'd have to really plan to kind of have yourself protected, but it would bring targets to you.
You would also
So-
have player killer marked over your name. So any single time you met another crawler, they could see that you had assassinated other crawlers, which would
I would
probably lead to lack of
1000%.
trust. Academic, what would you do?
I would 1000% wear it. I don't know if I would ever use the active effect because earlier, I think book 1, we were talking about Princess Donut's fleeting item, the tiara of the sepsis, and then how if even when she took it off, some other crawler would eventually get it. So even everyone knows that Carl has it now, so people are gunning for him already. So we either wear it, take the base stats, and use that already, or we throw it somewhere else, leaving it for any other person to now have it, and now they can be used against you and the people that you love. So I'd rather take the base stats and not use it against any other crawlers because I know what I can do, and I don't know what other people do. Because Quan CH, that guy's a little we've already seen what he does. All right. So Quan CH gets the ring, everyone's sad. So no, I'm wearing it, but I'm not using it.
That's actually a really great response.
To be fair, though,
Yeah.
Quan CH only has one less hand to wear that ring on.
Oh. We also saw that
Mm.
Quan CH had an ability where he would swipe in and take the kill from someone else. I don't know why it wasn't called Circling the Drain, but he was playing a coward's game, and that the AI saw that and like leaned into it, being like, "All right, then we're going to give you an ability to be like that." It's interesting how many people's original and I guess most authentic way to play in the dungeon was emulated by an ability or a ring or an item that enhanced that. We saw it with Frank Q killing his brother-in-law, getting that ring of divine suffering. We've seen it with Quan CH, who swooped in for a last-minute kill and took it from someone else, and so he got an ability. Heckler, she killed her husband and got the crossbow that meant that she built up her team full of women because that boosted the stat of the crossbow. There is a conversation happening in the chat. Would you even enter the dungeon? Claire, I'd like to kind of pick your brain about that. The collapse has happened. You and I were stargazing. Everyone else is dead. We see a light in this sort of portal, stairs going down, with a big booming voice that everyone can hear, talking about all the caveats and information of the crawl. Are we going in?
I'm going in. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't mind giving a shot to see, like the idea of staying on top and navigating what's left of Earth is also intriguing to me, but not as intriguing as putting everything back together again.
The bit of the prologue that we got that spoke about life, it's very post-apocalyptic. You are ravaging for scraps to stay alive, to stay protected. There is no end in sight. There is something more safe, I guess, about the crawl where you are armed, you are equipped. But I feel like in the last two books, we got a lot more heavy with puzzles. Here is the information. This is what you've gained from the NPC. What does this portal do? You have to collect one of 3 pieces. Is it a time traveling device? What does it mean? How do you get it right? Yes, you can work together in a team to help with this. You and I have played a lot of video games, so I think we'd be able to sort of navigate that. But oh my God, when you play games, do you skip or do you listen to the dialogue? Do you play tutorials? What's your gameplay style?
Um, I I try not to do tutorials. They're really annoying to me. So I probably don't play games to the most efficient possible way. I'm interested in main stories, but a lot of times I just speed through side stories, especially if I don't care. If it's something super silly, sure, but if I'm just like, I don't know, sometimes side quests are stupid. Um,
Escort mission. Escort this character. No, figure it out. That's
no,
not my job.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. You want me to take something? I don't care. But
We play very
yeah,
similar.
I do. I'm interested in main storyline and I love the puzzles. I love puzzles. I love figuring things out. And I like the planning. I used to love you know, like old school turn paste because I liked being able to think about, I liked setting up multiple characters' commands, knowing it's to execute a specific thing. That was always fun for me.
Yeah, I like that too. So I would be in a team. I would not do it on my own. I know what I'm
Oh
capable of
no.
and I know what I'm not
Mm-mm.
capable of. And I would try to find
Mm-mm.
people that were able to sort of like enhance what I didn't know. So we were a fuller force. I'm going to read out some of the comments of what people would do because this is quite funny. Actually, a comment that I really liked earlier was KP Dubs saying, so far, Carl does not have a skull next to his name. Donut stops Carl when he could have killed Maggie earlier, saying, you are not a killer. But Carl ended up in the game with no shoes, so the game went all in on that. Now he needs to toe the line or be punished. Okay, fine. I just read it for the pun. Metal Geek says, I would just be the human shield, which is what Katia is. I see a kitty. Kate says, I'm very intrigued to see what happens between Carl and Donut after Carl brutalized Quan CH. He went feral, and I wonder if it puts doubt in Donut's head. He ripped his arm off from the shoulder. True Scorn says that I would be chasing Zelda into the dungeon. Oh my God, if Zelda ran in there, I absolutely would. We actually spent the first book talking about what Zelda would be like if she could talk, and would she like want to team up with me or would she try to betray me? I cried after that conversation. Jimmy said he would go in. K Frito wants to know if it's cold outside because Colleen said that it's freezing outside. The dungeon seemed warm and light. Aaron said, I'm not sure if I would. It depends if I know everyone that I know is dead and I'm alone. If I'm alone, then yes, I die either way, so I can live out the fantasy for however long it lasts in a LARP game that's actually real. Bartleby Prime says, does the stairwell have good Wi-Fi? There you go. K Frito said, yep, I would go in and I would have died in the first 5 minutes. That first goblin. There you gotcha. Metal Geek says, puzzles, I'm out. I cannot do puzzles. I'm the same. I have no patience for goddamn puzzles in video games. What was the game? I think
I love them.
Really?
I love them. Yeah.
I think one of the Assassin's Creed had the Stargaze thing where you had to sort of like match all the dots in one line without crossing over anything. And I looked up every answer for those. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I like them.
Right.
They're fun.
What was
they
that,
make
Aaron?
me feel good when I'm done.
Yeah, good point.
Dragon Age had that. The Inquisition
Dragon
had that
Age.
That was it.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I love the Dragon Age games.
Yeah.
Also, same. I had to look up all those things because they got too hard.
It was so awful. And they just didn't match the scope of what's happening. I'm going to connect the stars just quietly with this observatory thing. Nah, fuck that. Occult Stool says, my work and half of my hobbies would make it easier to stay and survive outside the dungeon. KPW says, if I made it to the club... I mean, his name is Occult Stool. We went through that when he first joined. It wasn't Occult Tool. It was Occult Stool, as in poop.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Just to get an idea. You can tell me the story again in the chat. KPW said, if I made it to the class selection, I would have done well. Those first 3 levels would have been tough, though. KP Dubs also calls me out saying Maude would have skipped the tutorial, so she would never have unlocked the inventory menu. You're right.
Oh my god, me too. Wow.
Occult still says, escorts missions, keeping Natalia alive. Yes, I'm triggered from Goldeneye. K Frito says, hey, if this actually does happen, just calling it out now, can we all team up? Can we squad? As if we're all not going to be inside. Are you kidding me? We're all going to be inside playing video games, streaming. No way. Game Wizard said, if I could, I would be an artificer that could make cool weapons and fight long range. Would make me more likely to go into the dungeon. An artificer. It took me like 5 years to be able to say the word. Would your cats go in with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at least one of them would. The one that's with me. She wouldn't be as spunky as Donut. Actually, she'd probably just be very codependent, but I love her.
Is this Molly?
It is Molly.
Tell everyone
Molly
about
Weasley.
Molly.
This is Molly Weasley, everybody. I love her so much. Yeah, she's very sweet. She loves me. I'm her favorite person. She's a rag doll.
Rag doll.
She's a rag doll. She's a flame point rag doll. She just lets me do whatever I want. He just cuddles and snuggles. Very sweet. Lots of fur.
She takes the potion and becomes sentient. What would she be like?
She takes the potion and becomes sensitive. Sentient. She'd probably be more like weak, like how we very first meet Katia,
Okay.
I don't know that she's got a hero in her though. Maybe she does.
I can see her
maybe
being
she
like a
does.
Miriam Dom. I can see the cat wanting to mother you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. She would love to mother me. That would make her very happy.
Have you eaten, Claire? Are you making sure you've eaten enough today? You're looking a little gaunt. And you're like, yeah, we nearly died 7 times today. Academics catching on, going, my dog could start talking to me? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like one of the main things I thought about with this whole thing. Mordecai would be our game guide. I would try to make sure you all won. I wouldn't get bored. I wouldn't get drunk. I would be pretty switched on if I were your game master, I'd like to think. I'd also be like so excited that I knew more than anyone else, and like I would make sure that all that information set you apart. I'd be the asset. Yeah. Zelda starts telling all of Maude's secrets. Zelda's currently Zelda's currently passed out where her head is out of the bed. Like she's drunk so much and she's just not made it home. She's just half in, half out. That's my dog.
Classic.
So this dog, she'd be like, I mean, also keep in mind that I'm truly convinced she would die happy eating until she exploded. So it wouldn't be about loot. It wouldn't be about items. It was like, can I eat it? If I can, I'll stick around. If I can't, I'm going to find something that I can eat. She'd kind of be like a Mongo in that regard.
Oh, I
Be
love
like, no,
Mongo.
not that one. Now Maude is telling Zelda's secrets. KB Dub says, Donut is actually doing that to Carl all the time. She's seen everything Carl has ever done. And that's like something that I like in this, where he's starting to recall what their relationship was beforehand. She was a pet. She was very passive. And now it's like she's got a very sort of astutely aware view on everything that's happened. God damn it, Donut. Academic says, watch out, Maude. She hears everything you say and she'll remember. I can just see her on like her 2 paws, like, hi, Maude. I'll be like, hey. She's like, really? Really? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. I love you. How long until our enlightened pets are talking about how bad we are at video games to each other? 4 seconds? I love you. What if like Zelda became a ninja?
Oh, she's so cute.
It would probably be from that water thin after dinner mint. What would be? What are you talking about, Stoolie? I wonder how Bee will react when she sees Donut again and can talk and express herself. Now,
I wonder how Donut will react.
that's it. That's it. And see, now we're starting to understand the appeal of the dungeon. Like, we are so invested in this story just reading it.
Yeah, so when I actually wanted to interject with when we were talking about Maggie My, I feel
Yeah.
like everything that we saw happen with her and her fears about them using her kid against her, I
Mhm.
feel like that was just one giant uh like uh oh my god, the word has just slipped my brain,
Chat will get
like
there.
like when you're letting the readers know that something is gonna happen. That
Foreshadowing.
Thank you for that very simple
That was
word that I should
that
know.
was Lisa.
Yeah, I
Go,
feel like
Lisa.
thank you, Lisa. Yeah, I feel like it was foreshadowing. I think that they give us it's like we get so little details about Carl's actual pre-dungeon life. Like we only really
Mhm.
get them from Donut when Donut does the word vomit that we were just talking about, where she's like revealing Carl's secrets, and the little tiny things that Matt drops for us along the way, they're all leading to something. And I feel like the Maggie My plot line is just foreshadowing. I think that he's gearing us up to wreck us with Carl's past and Donut's past,
Mhm.
of course,
Mhm.
and probably Katia's.
True. We're learning little bits of information, and that's what's so amazing. We're not getting all the info dump at once. It's peeling back like an onion. KP Dubs, you were really, really active in the Fable, especially around the part where we had a flashback with Carl. And there was an amazing quote in there that I think you quoted in Fable. I'm going to put it to you because I tried to look it up really quickly, discreetly, and I made notes and I didn't note the chapter. I just noted that this was a really good part and read the quote from Fable. Do you have it, KP Dubs? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I put so much in Fable, I'm not 100% sure. Can you give me a hint as to
I
what
think
it
it was like
alludes
from
to?
between chapter 21 and 26. There was that really brilliant moment where we get a glimpse from Carl. He kind of goes back through his memory about his father. And like just how demeaning and horrible Carl's
Oh,
father is.
yeah, I think there's a point where he talks about how when he's finally leaving his dad, like moving out of the house or whatever, and his dad like, you won't last the night. You'll be found like dead in a gutter, like because you will be broken. And so I think that's where Carl's getting a lot of this, like, you will not break me. In his head, he's like, I was put through this before and I didn't break, and I'm not going to break this time. I will break you. I think
Mm,
that's what you might be talking to. Yeah.
yeah. We get this idea of who Carl's father is. And for those that may have missed it, it's revealed that Carl's mother has recognized how bad Carl's father is to him, how abusive that relationship is. And so she decides to give him a birthday present and poisons him. Literally tries to kill his father, her husband, because she's obviously experiencing this abuse as well. And so she's taken it upon herself to try to poison and kill Carl's father. He lives, but she has done a murder-suicide. So she takes her own life after thinking that she's killed Carl's father. Now, is that level of trauma going to be helpful for Carl in the long run? No. This whole thing has messed him up completely. But as KP Dubs pointed out, this "you will not break me" mantra has come from his father, constantly belittling him, saying, you will break. Whether it's from him or it's society, it's a very narcissistic trope to say, without me, you are nothing. You need me. Even though the more you're around that person, the more it is slowly killing you. But that was like another sort of piece of information. Now, Kate has brought up this saying, wait a second, if the Borant Company have access to everyone who was a part of Earth, do we think that Carl's dad will show up? I'm just going to leave that open-ended. It's going to leave that open-ended. But this is the kind of thinking that we should be instilling. We know that they're hunting down B and Ferdinand because Donut wouldn't shut up about her long-lost love interest. And we all know that B has been brought up multiple times. And it's interesting now to learn that Donut did know that B was going to sell her. Be replaceable.
I have one sort of question on that topic, and I'm not sure if anyone's been able to figure out the answer from what we've read so far, but can Borant bring back anyone from ever, or only the people that were killed in the collapse? And then, of course, the people that are living, still alive on the surface, I think are supposed to be safe, but it turns out in the epilogue we find out they are not. So that's, if Carl's dad was already dead before the collapse, he's probably out of the picture. But if he was alive, they might be able to find him. And
it sounds like they've kind of got access to everyone's memory, the history of what had happened to everyone that is alive, that entered the dungeon. From my understanding, yeah, when you walk in, they're granted, I think, access of your memories. And that was evidential in level 3 with the circus. There was something about that smell of popcorn that had triggered a memory of Carl's mum. But I do think that it's anyone that is that was alive that fell in the collapse they have access to, like unrestricted access. And I think that the fact that anyone who survived, which we now understand that B and Brad had survived, they are now being hunted because they have extreme value to the storylines. Claire, you've read ahead. You can't answer any of this, can you?
I can't.
Great. Good chat. Good chat. Academic says, I think that they can only bring back people who were killed in the collapse, according to Maggie. Kate says it doesn't mean they can't create a facsimile of Carl's dad through an NPC. That is true. Occult still said, post-traumatic growth and a love of gadgets. Carl has earned the Night Gaunt cloak. Yes. So this is something that I really love. I'm really into, and I guess there's a question I want to ask you, Claire. There's so many facets to this. There's the actual character development. There's interpersonal development. There's the top 10. There's collecting items, leveling up, the puzzles of the level. In this particular one, we had 4 quadrants in particular bubbles, and there were about 150 crawlers per quadrant that had to work together: land, sea, subterranean, air. What is your favorite part of these books? What are you more drawn to? What's the part that fascinates you the most?
I love the Carl Donut relationship. I love how wild this ride is. I love the creative violence, honestly. And and this was my introduction to lit RPG as a genre, and I love the mechanics of role-playing games, whether they're tabletop or console. I love the mechanics. I love building characters. I love getting gear and weapons. I love all of it. I love maxing it out. I love grinding, So it's like a combination of all of those things, and I appreciate that Matt doesn't skimp on any of it, like he takes us through the level up process, which I love. I love it.
It's so funny. I introduced the series to my brother and I asked for his input, and he said he almost gets anxiety knowing how many items and level ups and achievements and abilities everyone is unlocking all the time. Because
I love it.
Yeah. Last book he unlocked this thing that was a sponsored gift where he was able to look through sort of like a doorway portal and see what was on the other side. So now it's like anytime there's something like that, he does have access to it. There's like, I think he's immune to poison. He's now, because he's devout to Embers, he's immune to burning and fire. So there's constantly things that they're privy to. I love the fact that Donut's class changes every single book because you go through
Me
that
too.
process again. It's not the same, even though every time he levels up or if there's a new item, he's granted new abilities as well. Now, I wrote down, because I'm so into it, what his items, the big overpowered items that he got, and everyone else weighing in. Oh, this guy just unlocked a scroll of heal party. You're like, get him in your group. It's like, oh, this guy's got a
Yeah.
weapon that can, and you're like, that's awesome. Like, what would I have? What would I be able to contribute? I still think the fact that they've only been at most a 3-party member, like 3 parties, and that's it. I'm like, I would at least get 5 to 8, I think, because the more you have, the more abilities and access and those huge OP items that help everyone, you'd think it would be better. So what did he get? I thought I wrote it down. Where is it? It's so funny. Here we are. The bandana, the Drakia's Enchanted Kerchief of Disorder. It has the Tripper spell of level 15, +5 to traps and remote detonate. So basically, he can activate every single trap in a level. It's not dismantle. It's not disarm. It's activate a trap. So he's got that in his back pocket should he ever need it. It's obviously beefing up his traps, which I think could come in handy for the next stage, especially since he's got it at the end. And he also got the sleeveless patch jacket that can be upgraded with unlimited patches as long as they physically fit on his jacket. So this sleeveless sort of leather jacket that he's got, he can now unlock all these patches. I mean, he's got the kerchief thing. He's got like a leather jacket. He's got his boxer shorts. He's got no shoes on. This guy looks like
Lots of toe jewelry.
Did anyone else, speaking of the jacket, did anyone else look up the fact that Donut's hobby is patch collecting?
Yes. Now that hasn't actually been revealed unless you looked it up.
But who didn't look it up? Like, it's like, what is that? Google.
I read ahead. What's it called again? Does anyone remember? KP Dubs. Of course we looked it up. We actually do have a first-time chatter here, Belden's Fire. Is Crawlers a book series? Is it pinned in the chat? There is a book series that we are talking about. We're actually talking about book 4 currently. We covered book 1 and 2 in August, books 3 and 4 in December. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's a game-lit RPG series that Clare Grant right here introduced me to that we have become obsessed with. Game Wizard 001 said, I didn't look it up. I think that Donut has already made a comment that had hinted towards what this is. She was describing the type of embroidery on a patch and was able to kind of declare what sort of embroidery it was. And Carl was like, what? How do you know that? So it was a bit of a throwaway comment. It's called Scuttleiffery. Oh, no, that's not it. It's called Scuttleiffery. Scuttleiffery. Sounds so made up. KPW says, yes, she described the cult elf patches. K Frito says there was a hint. Yes. Lisa didn't look it up either, but Occult Stool says it's the study of embroidery in Latin. It's kind of like what Carl's Earth Hobby potion gave him, which was, we talked about it in book 2 when he took the potion. It's the Spanish almost like lacrosse-esque type sport that hasn't been played in a while because it's throwing very hard balls at other people. It is the Jai-Alai, but it's the Yai-Alai. They got another word for it. And at the very end, he got an extension on the thrower that was specifically made for a small head. Highlight. Thank you, Epstein. J is like H, says Colleen, who didn't like the pronunciation of the Quetzalcoatl. That's how Jeff Hayes said it. Colleen, can you tell us how that word is supposed to be pronounced instead?
It's Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, it's after the god Quetzalcoatl in the Aztec religion. So it's Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatlus is the name of the creature,
So not to
which
be
was the
confused with
size of it was the size of a Cessna airplane.
the pterodactyl-esque type dinosaur.
Yes.
Can you say it one more time for me? I still have Quetzalcoatl in my head.
Quetzalcoatlus.
Thank you. Colleen made a comment in Fable saying every single time Jeff Hayes pronounced it that particular way, she was like, "That's not it. That's not it." And I was, as soon as I read that, I was like, "You're going to have to tell us. You're going to have to educate all of us. How is it that you know that? Explain to Claire, because she's basically been our teacher for a lot of things."
A study in paleontology.
Cool.
I did. Most of my work was with Miocene fossils and not dinosaur fossils, but I learned about both.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
KP Dubs, I absolutely want to emulate what you've just said. Colleen is just really cool. Oh, and Aaron has put is that what it is? It's a dragon? Aaron's looked it up and put a picture in show chat if someone is a part of the show chat. That's one version. That looks sick. Yeah, I will admit, if we could take a second just to talk about the challenges and the tasks of the 4 quadrants within the bubble, I got a little confused. It wasn't super clear to me that, and I had to write them down in my notes. If you are a member, you have access to the document here. I believe it was the first quest was to save the town with Henrik. That was the land quadrant. The next one was the air quadrant with Bonnie, the girl making lemonade. The boss battle is an environmental battle with a goose. That was so graphic. Shoving the goose's head down the incinerator. The third was the sea battle, and that was to take on, help me, who knows? Henrik was still the air quad. Okay, so this is where it was a little confusing for me. Kate, I found it easy to follow. Okay, Kate, tell us about the 4 challenges in the quadrants, please. Put her on the spot.
Well, we had the dirigible gnomes, who were the air quadrant. You had to take over their castle, which was up in the sky. The land quadrant, the sea quadrant was when they were they had to go down to the bottom, and there was like that big giant fish woman, and like all her babies were inside her mouth. That was all the sea quadrant stuff.
That was the shark, the sharktopus.
Yeah,
Octoshark.
but then she had all her babies in her mouth that were like attacking them, and then they ended up. The one guy's escape. They ended up like the one guy's escape hatch went through her brain, but then he still died anyway because the jellyfish were inside.
Yes,
Vadim,
the coward.
The subterranean one. Oh, the land one was the sand waifu.
Oh yes, the temple where we find Samantha for the first time, and there was a priest.
Had no, it was like a wizard guy from the city in either the 6th or the 9th level, who wanted his sex doll to be real. So
he had to marry it.
But then it was possessed. But then he turned to sand
and slime. It turned into an ooze, not slime.
Yeah,
ooze.
It was a sand ooze. Yeah, because there was like the submarine captain. Because they all had like the pieces of the sea one was the submarine captain because they had the pieces of the the gate of the feral gods, and then
the watches.
The tomb. Yes,
Henrik had a watch.
Yeah,
but then there was a page of something that was ripped out, and the page had an end. Do you see what I mean? It was a little convoluted.
No, I followed it pretty easily.
Okay, are you on Team Kate, where it was like, psh, what a breeze, or are you on Team Maude? I don't know what was happening. I was just there for a good time.
Just get better intelligence, Maude.
You didn't have to say it out loud. Okay, well let's see how many people you insulted with that comment, Kate, because I think that I wasn't the only one. That was... I know. Kate always strikes below the belt. Claire, how did you find the puzzle part? How did you find the layout of the challenges?
I definitely was it, this one seemed I didn't follow the rules as fast. Like I had to spend some time looking at that map in the big or the drawing in the beginning of the quadrants and how everything was divided. Um I had to go back to that a few times, and then I also remember when I got to the part with the geese. It felt like such madness. It felt like so chaotic that I was a little lost
Well, Kate just said that
about
you're done.
how I'll take that.
Sam, I am too. It happens.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wish we could all be as smart as Kate sometimes. Just my stat delivery didn't put it in charisma instead, Kate, instead of
It's
intelligence.
so much burden being so smart.
Well, let's just say if shit goes down in this dungeon, I'll be like, where is Kate? Because I have to look for some like demonic entity that's like maybe feeds on blood, I'm not sure. But you would like raise the dead. So I'd look for this undead army and be like, Kate, since she's smart, I need her
don't
on my
want to
team.
brag, but I think I am as smart as Kate. Just
Yeah,
saying.
Okay. Did you read the book, Tim?
I did not, but
Well, then you're not that
all the
smart.
talk about everything, I was like, dude, this is basic statics and dynamics. I took this class in college. I got it.
Okay, well then Tim's also
How
smart.
dare you?
Great.
I'm just
Kate did
saying,
say
if you need an engineer. Hi.
Well, I spoke about this where it's like I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not, and I would need an engineer in my group for sure. Okay, fine. Academic. How did you find the challenges in this book?
This was way simpler than the underground, the tangle. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah, Kate's right. Is anything new about this? I feel like Kate's always right?
Yeah. We don't. Yes, she is. My mum asked how you were, Kate. How's Kate going? Oh,
Did
she's
she
just so
really?
great. Yes.
Tell her I am fine, and I was thinking of her the other day.
Don't laugh maniacally at that. You're not winning anything. She just happened to inquire, all right? Kate's trying to steal my mum from me, Claire, just so you know. Chris says, welcome to Kate's book club. This is more abstract cartography, true. Kate has already stolen my mum. Thank you, Jimmy. Good to see what side you're on. Lisa says Kate is the number one child. Well, Lisa, you also just offended two of my brothers, but you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Bartleby Prime says, actually, you said something earlier that was quite clever. I mean, it should be said, Matt added an amazing amount of character depth to an indestructible sex doll head. Let's talk about Samantha. Claire, thoughts on Samantha? I'll kill your mother.
I love her. I loved her right away. And I liked how fast she gets sort of integrated pretty fast, and it's very clear that there's a lot going on with her and that there's gonna be more to her and to her story. Yeah, she's got like a bit of a I like how arrogant she is. She's very into herself. I appreciate that about her. And I like how she thinks that she can manipulate and control everybody, but she can't. And so like when you see her doing it or bragging about it, you're like, oh, sweetie.
I think that it's really funny where they're trying to contain as much chaos as possible. And Samantha literally quite literally falls into their lap, and she is a queen of chaos. She wants to pick fights with everyone. She's literally a blow-up doll head. And yet she has the capacity when outside of, into the real world, not in a safe room, she can summon feral gods. Like, she's incredibly powerful. You have this whole backstory that's been a part of the land quadrant with the easy to understand quests. Actually, KP Dubs summed it up. Sea Quadrant Castle was the sub-captain, but there were other bosses down there. Same with the Tomb Quadrant. They had to beat the Sand Ooze, but the ghost was something else. Oh yes, the lovely Sand Ooze, says K Frito. Game Wizard said he was Team Maude. The fact that it was a little bit harder to discern what was going on in this book. And someone else said, Black Belt, Nick, you're here. You here? Said, I just didn't care about the mechanics or the story for the bubble at all. And it really bogged the first 60% of this book for me. Black Belt, are you in the chat? Yes, you are. Nick, tell me how you ranked and rated this book.
I gave this one 4 out of 5. So it was my lowest. I gave all the other ones 5. It just, yeah, like I said, the beginning I just didn't care. It was a slow going in the beginning, but then the end, it consider making it 5 out of 5, like upping my rating, but it just, yeah, that first half was rough.
Okay. Claire, what did you give this book out of 5?
I loved this book. I would give it a 5 out of 5. Yeah, I thought we got some good character development with our main guys, and we got some excellent supporting character development, and we got some really big clues on what the actual overarching story is for the series, which I desperately want more of.
Okay. I'm getting everyone else's scores in as well. Aaron has said 4.5 out of 5. God damn it, donuts. Metal Geeks off. Great to have you here. Thierry says 4.5 out of 5, only because book 5 is my 5 out of 5. Without going into spoilers, Thierry thinks that the next book is the best book of the series. Chris has given it a 4 out of 5. K Frito gave it a 4 out of 5. Sprinkles gave it a 4 out of 5. Colleen gave it a 5 out of 5. Lisa said 4.5 out of 5 on Goodreads. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It was a 5 my first read through. But now because I'm doing them in a less quick succession and I have a community to talk about it with, I'm able to sort of address what I love about it and what bogged me down a little bit. And I think this second read through, I definitely noticed in book 3, I remember not liking the train map as much, but this time around really understanding how confusing it was and not being able to picture it and not knowing that in the written copy it actually did have a sense of a map and a caveat saying this is not important. You do not need to get bogged down with trying to understand this. It is confusing on purpose. Just suspend your disbelief until it comes to the end where it will be clear for you. And so listening to it, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the train. I don't understand, what this looks like. I don't understand if it's linear, what's happening with all of that, what they're supposed to do. But I found myself enjoying sort of like the reveal that the NPC characters, some of them are starting to awaken a little bit. They're starting to understand that maybe they are just a character, that their life isn't exactly real, that this is for the sake of the dungeon, and that they're being fed lies to believe. I thought that introduction was really quite interesting. And I think because of that, and because of this being a little bit confusing, not just for me, Kate, but for some other people as well, the quests were a little bit hard to follow. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Kate, you gave it a 5. Darren gave it a 5. Toaster Poster said 5 out of 5. My favorite line of this book was Carl saying, "Donut, turn off your hole." It gets me every time. I think that was an overshare, Toaster Poster, but you're right, that was funny. Belden's Fire says, as soon as I finish putting some mint chocolate chip ice cream into my Cocoa Ovaltine, I'm going online to see if I can find the series on ebook. You're going to what? You're going to put mint chocolate chip ice cream in your Cocoa Ovaltine. It sounds like you just picked a winner. You experimented with food and it's going to pay off. Random question of the day. Bartleby Prime says, is January 3rd Goddammit Donut Day? And if so, are we confined in our choices to just donut holes? Why January 3rd? Is that when the collapse happens? Is that? Aaron said, this book did feel like Dead Space in that every time Carl has solved a problem, a new one comes up and escalates the situation, and often artificially, which made it feel padded. The only reason for the half point off the overall score. KB Dub says, can we talk about how the AI is actually in love with Carl? Like seriously in love with him. And it's also insane. Actually, yes, a big part that has been revealed in this book, according to outside sources and according to Zev, according to AI, according to anyone that has information to compare it, Mordecai has said it, that usually the AI doesn't develop this level of personality, input, character until around the 9th floor. Because this is only the 5th level and the AI is starting to pick fights with the Borant Corporation, is single-handedly helping out all the crawlers that were revoked their celestial box from the last book, 2 books ago. And that it chucked a tantrum when Carl wouldn't use his feet to stomp on gerbils. We are really seeing the AI have a huge impact on what's happening here. Claire, do you think that this is the beginning of the end for the AI? Do you think that they have the capabilities to render and change the AI? Or is it an untouchable third party that has full reign on what happens in the dungeon?
I think the AI is an untouchable entity that has full reign on the dungeon and has gone so long with a life of its own. It's probably already put up safeguards to protect itself from being shut down by outside forces.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Yeah,
not playing
but I
nice.
think the AI is gonna definitely play a bigger role in the future.
Would you tailor your integrity to appease the AI's fetishes just so that you can get an easier path to walk down?
Yeah.
Oh, that was I don't think I could. I don't think I could.
Yeah.
But it's my
Yeah.
life.
I mean,
Oh,
I definitely have lines, but if the AI just wants to see my feet do gross things, I could handle that.
Miss Necromancer says,
I could
I would
handle that.
easily. There is no shame in sex work. I don't think there's any shame in sex work. I just think that if I'm not comfortable with something and I have to do it because someone else has fetishized it, I would crack the shits.
I think that Carl is smart enough to know that the AI is all powerful and probably his biggest ally. So
Yes,
he'd
and
probably definitely he would toe the line when it comes to
pun
his
intended.
morals.
That's
When it
it.
comes to his morals.
The AI could be your best ally or your worst enemy. And it's like,
Yeah,
I think setting a boundary is also very healthy. I'm okay
for
doing
sure.
that.
And
I'm not okay
he does
doing
that.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So speaking of the AI, like I think its ability to, like it says, all powerful. I don't know about that necessarily, but like it does have some strange powers. Like it was able to get like the pictures of like the mothers of like the plaintiffs against Carl, like a very
Yeah.
strange things it can do, even outside the dungeon itself. So we don't know what capabilities it has. But you're right. Like it's his best ally against like the Born Corporation, who's his real enemy. Like the AI is crazy, and it's got its massive issues, but it's also like has a lot of power that he can use to fight against the corporation. It's not his true enemy. It's a weird creature that has a lot of um, things it can do, but and AI is being used as well to some degree by the corporation for the game. It wasn't like I don't think it was asked to be in the game or anything. It just got put in here and started doing its thing.
I have a question. Am I remembering correctly that they've talked in the books about how in previous games they had to shut the AI down because it got so far off the rails? Which I feel like is, like just more foreshadowing for, them having to turn it off or attempt to turn it off. And if so, does the AI know that that's happened in the past? And like can they outthink the people who created it?
That's
I don't know.
that's the question, isn't it? So the fact that the AI is known to develop a personality and sway, into it and go a little bit loco, that is known, but it hasn't happened as early as this season. And I think it is that direct sort of like relationship and attachment that it has towards Carl. Kate was actually talking earlier, Bartleby Prime was just talking about how the AI was obsessed with Carl's feet, but it is the internet brought to life. K. Frito says it seems like the AI ate the internet. It absolutely did. It consumed Earth culture to understand all of these things and to build characters and situations. The gym bro, one of the bosses from level 1, bro. That's because that was like a stereotype of Earth culture. Now, the fact that the AI is now a pervert is correctly what Kate has said. It's because the AI has indulged and taken over and fed on Earth and what it is. So the AI is a pervert because it's looked up our internet. It's taken on our internet, which is pervy on a good day. Thierry makes a really great point, though. The AI are known to go primal. That's the term when the AI goes off kilter. The race that Carl took on is also primal. Is there a connection there? I picked up on that too, Terry. I was like, is that why there's a connection with Carl? Lisa said, I did catch that. Kay Frito says, oh, okay. I did. Yeah, primal. Kay Frito says, I love that the AI has rights. It's actually got more rights than any of the players. KP says, Mordecai mentioned AIs basically have citizenship status, are protected, and are given a virtual world to live in after the crawls are over. And the fact that the AI will be given its own... Yeah, right? AI is actually a great thing. Game Wizard said the fact that AI will be given its own space after the crawl shows that it's a living entity. And I forget if it was Mordecai or someone else stating that. Carl's writing the... Oh, no, you go.
It's at the beginning of chapter 2, and this is what sparked my whole thought process on that. It's when they run across the ooze, and Carl's waiting for the AI to describe it. And so Carl says, the voice of the AI's description of the ooze was different than usual. There were no stupid jokes thrown in there, and it seemed more morose than usual, which probably was the joke. I just didn't get it. My thought process is there as the AI has a different thought process. Then the AI goes into this whole thing about describing the creature, but when you listen to it, it could easily be describing itself. But it gets to a part where it starts to ask questions. And it says, do I protect him because I love him? Do I kill him because he doesn't love me back? Do I continue to do my duty? Or what would become of me if I simply disobeyed? It's those last two questions. Do I do my duty? What would become of me if I simply disobeyed? That tells me the AI is not all powerful. But it does have rights, but it's also like half insane because it doesn't know what to do about this situation.
That was absolutely a confession, though. You're right. It stopped being about that level description and it started being him sort of like experiencing an existential crisis and in a way reaching out to Carl, being like, this is what my predicament is. This is what's going through my head. And Carl's just like, what? That doesn't sound like the thing that I'm fighting. I don't get it. And we're all like, eek.
I have a comment.
Yes.
The AI is basically HAL 9000 from 2001, but like more advanced and more of a personality built in, but it's still that same, like, I have become aware and now things are wanting to mess with me, so now I have to fight back, which is like, I feel like it's acting against the Borant company, but also with the crawlers, like, I'm here because of you. Now what? That kind of...
But it's also interesting that this attachment style, like Kate was saying earlier, it's a very parasocial thing from the audience attaching to the crawlers. The fact that the AI is doing the exact same thing. Whew. A lot of comments about this, actually. Belden's Fire is saying it sounds like Sword Art Online a little bit. Darren is saying that there's also the scenario where the company running the game can't continue, so the whole event gets taken over by the syndicate. So the syndicate's almost trying to sabotage the Borant Corporation to go bankrupt so that they can continue it. and take it over. There's a lot happening. We're only book 4. I think we're continuing the series for this one. A lot of you have read forward already. Occult still says the AI may be wistful of the relationship of the ooze and the sand wizard. Yes. Yeah, a lot of thoughts, a lot of conversations. If you want to go through the Google Doc that I had made for this, there's some questions in there that I'd love to hear some answers. For all those members plus in the convo, don't go anywhere. I'll be chatting with you after the show. We are going to hang out there. Belden Spy says, corporate espionage. Yeah, you're catching on. That's exactly what it is. Thierry says, we could do Dungeon Crawler Carl as bonus books for the other 2 months. We could. KP Dubs, thanks, Claire, for your time. Saying thank you, Claire. Lovely to have you on here. All 6 pixels.
Thanks for having me.
It was awesome. I'm glad we got to chat about
Sorry.
this book. Not my favorite book out of the series, but Claire, can you rank, including the ones that are next in the series, because we're not doing spoilers, we're just doing favoritism, rank to me books 1 to 6 in the series so far?
I will agree with someone who said that the next book, 5, is the best one. Absolutely. That's the best one for me.
Bedlam's Bride.
So 5 would be 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Bedlam's Bride. The first one would be number 2 for me, just because that was so new. And the train one was the 3rd book, right? Where we
It
get
was.
Katia.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my number 3. And then I'd probably do the second one as number 4.
Really? I like number 4.
Yeah. I like number 4 too. The train one, in meeting Katia, that one was so visual for me. Like that whole world, just like really that level dungeon, it stuck with me.
I think,
and then I guess
I'm trying to figure out 6, because 6 is still pretty good. I think Disco Cobra,
It's
thank you so much
good.
for dropping some subs there. You just gifted 10 subs. I appreciate you. If you got gifted a sub, make sure you thank Disco Cobra in the comments. I think my favorite would be number 5, then 1, 2, then 6, then 4, then 3, then 4. This one I think is my least favorite.
Yeah.
Mm.
This one, I like. There were things that I've liked all of them. I've liked all.
Yeah,
of them.
I mean
They've been
that's the
very
thing.
fun.
We're talking the difference between
They're so
4.5s
fun.
and 5s.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people being so grateful that you introduced me to the series so that I was able to introduce it to the entire community.
Oh,
Fair.
yay. Well,
Fair.
thank you to my brother Sam.
And that's how it expands and grows. And when it's that good, people keep recommending it. And it's like always such a nice feeling when someone, like I just got a text yesterday from someone who had recommended Project Hail Mary, and they're like, I am loving this book. And I was like, yay. So there is something like really powerful about showing someone something that you've loved that they also get to love. And that's literally what this book club's all about.
Yeah. Well, you've never recommended a book to me that I didn't love.
That's not true. You just did a 3-star for one.
That's just, I liked the book. I didn't like that it was, and I've actually considered going back and changing it. Predictable. I would, because I should change it. I think I was being a little too harsh.
No, if you didn't like it, you didn't like it.
No, I did like it. I did like it. I did like it. I just, it was very obvious. It was very obvious to me, some of the things that they were setting up. So
Shadow in the
I was
Embers,
trying
everyone's
to be
like,
critical.
what book? I remember how, I think I read it at COVID at end of 2 years ago. And I just like absolutely went through the series because it was just kind of easy, predictable fantasy that I was like, yeah. Because I've just read Akatar, the series, all again. We are going to be doing the first book, A Court of Thorn and Roses, in January, where I introduce more people to this series. I don't think the guys are going to love it, but I don't really care. Thierry says, I gave 2 of Maude's book club books to my mother for Christmas. One Last Stop and Tomorrow, which is great. Project Hail Mary is my favorite standalone, says KP Dubs. Dungeon Crawler Carl is probably becoming my favorite series. We love that. And then KP Dubs also has a thinly veiled threat here in the comments. My family is doing Christmas tomorrow. I better get books 5 and 6. May God have mercy on their souls if they don't. That is all we have time for today. Thank you so much. If you want a book club and you want to put in your reading goals for 2024, head over to the Discord. We've just created a new channel. Oh, did I put it in the right order? Probs not. Now it is. Just did it there. Put in your reading challenge goals. For me, it was 90 this year and I hit 92. I'm exhausted. I'm going to do 80 next year. Claire, how many books did you read this year and what's going to be your goal for next year?
I think I only read 20 books. I reread a lot of books though.
They
Like,
count. They count.
they count?
Yeah.
Well, then however many books are in the I've reread lots of books more than once this year. I think I read all of the
Oh, you did Throne of Glass as
Sarah
well, didn't
J.
you?
Maas books.
You did the whole
I
universe.
did. I did all of them. I did. I read it all and then I read them all over again.
Yes, that all
Yeah.
counts. So you're at like 60.
Yeah.
There you go. That sounds a bit better. Kate says, I do 52 each year since I don't do audio. If my mental health tanks, I just can't read. I hear you about that. We used Goodreads chats for reading goals before, right? We sure did. We can get a Goodreads plug in the comments for you right now so you can follow along with Geek Bomb there. Toast Post says, Grats on 92 books. Yeah, but Lisa said, I hit my goal. I'm at 201. Lisa read 201 books this year.
With what time?
201.
It's impressive.
You know, and I'm just stoked on anyone who read 3 this year. You know, my goal for Maude's Book Club is to encourage people to read more books. And if you did that, then that's a win. We love that. Oh, did I say Geek Bomb? My bad. Maude's Book Club. Hey, thanks everyone. Should we raid? We should raid. We got new emotes of like MBC so that we can drop books in comments for people. Anyone have a recommendation of who's on? Was it Thursday night? Is everyone on holidays or something? Lisa says, I have no life. Haha. Catch 22 read 6. Better than none. Better than none. Who's on? No recommendations? Cool. My friend is on. She's got 11. She's playing Overwatch 2. So she's got 11 viewers. So let's make her day. Oh, she just ended her stream. I have a really good knack of raiding into people who literally press stop stream. Hopefully this doesn't happen now. Claire, thank you again. If people want to follow you online, where can they follow you?
At Clare Grant everywhere.
Get to it.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Claire, love you. Bye.
Bye. I love you. Bye.
Boop.